You're listening to Innovators, the podcast from Harris Search Associates, where we speak with global leaders in education, research, engineering, and the health sciences, and ask them to share lessons learned as they continue to advance the frontiers of innovation and discovery. Today's podcast will be led by Joann Fax, Senior Consultant.
Again, welcome to Innovators. Today we are interviewing Dr. Walter Horton, Associate Vice President for Research and Sponsored Programs at Texas State University. He will be talking about our topic, Sustaining the Research Enterprise in Higher Education. So today, Dr. Horton, we welcome you to Innovators and we thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you, Joann. I'm so pleased to be here talking with you.
Well, good. My first question is kind of generic, just toward you. You've been at Texas State University for less than a year.
That's right.
And you came there after a 16-year tenure at Northeast Ohio Medical Center. Can you share with us who or what wooed you to TSU and in your new position? And can you provide with us your vision for the research potential of the institution there?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Joann. Yeah, it was, as you mentioned, 16 years at NeoMed, Northeast Ohio Medical University. A great opportunity, a great university. And I had reached a point in that position where it was still challenging to do the kind of work I was doing and still motivating. But I was looking to see if there was an opportunity to go to a university where the research purview was a little bit broader than what I had at NeoMed, which was mostly biomedical, medical. And so I really just began exploring that in a very general way. And Texas State University really caught my eye. And it was really because of, I would say, three things, all of which were kind of integrated. Texas State was a university that had 17 years of enrollment growth. So you go back to a point when it had around 20,000 students, and now it's almost 40,000. So it's the 30th largest university in the nation. At the same time, it was a designated Hispanic serving institution and also a minority serving institution. And then thirdly, they had experienced a tremendous increase in research productivity. So you just don't see that at a university very much, all three components growing like that. So it was really what I was looking for, a chance to join a university that was really in a growth phase. I think the vision that I have, and it's really a collective vision with the faculty and the administration and the students, is to really integrate those three things into our growth and innovation and research. That is, we are a large, comprehensive state university, 10 colleges, multiple departments, programs, but we also are a minority serving institution with over 50% of our students Hispanic, African American, Native American, with a very good retention and graduation rate. And then we have key research areas, research streams. So the mission is to really integrate that into a strategic growth model for Texas State.
Sounds like quite a challenge, but very, very interesting. How are you finding things going thus far? Are you having any major challenges in that direction?
I think, at one level, some of the challenges that we face are very common to universities and other institutes of higher education. We have to deal with funding challenges at the state level. We have to deal with funding challenges at the federal level that play down to support some of the programs that we're trying to grow. But I found that there are some unique challenges and opportunities here at Texas State that are largely related to this very rapid growth phase that we've seen over the last so many years. We talked about programmatic growth, enrollment growth. We've had a 400% increase in research funding. and you think about how to try to sustain that. And it's really about trying to get effective communication. How do you communicate across 10 colleges and multiple departments? It's trying to get a very inclusive buy-in to the priorities and strategies that we're trying to implement to continue to grow. So I think those are good challenges to have to face. And I think the good news at Texas State is that we really want to break down these silos. We want to have good, inclusive processes to do strategic planning. And so I'm finding, yes, there are challenges, but really there are challenges that we can deal with.
Sounds very exciting. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Sure.
My next question is a little different. Colleges and universities now are challenged about the need for and importance and support for research, especially at a time when student costs are escalating and dollars to pay for research are declining. What's the case to be made for a robust research enterprise? How do we justify it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think I would frame it this way. If you think about a university and its mission, and maybe you compare that to something like a community college or a trade school or a contract research organization or an online degree program, all of those are very important. All of those play a role in developing workforce. But there's no place like a university where you see an integrated mission. That is, a university educates the future workforce. It carries out discovery research and innovates, and it has a service role to the community. And so I think that the key to try to deal with scarce resources to support the academic mission is to integrate the academic mission to the research mission. And I think that universities are really the only place where that can happen. And so if I give you some examples, how do we make a case to the provost and the president at Texas State that we should have a robust research mission? Well, we think about attracting the best students. We think about attracting the best faculty. Those are largely linked to the mission of innovation and research that a university carries out. So it impacts the ability of the university to get the best and the brightest students. If you also think about how the university is perceived from the outside, what is the external view of a university? Well, of course, educating the next workforce is very important. But it's also important to think about that innovation and discovery mission. That brings the private sector to the table. It allows for partnerships with companies that we otherwise wouldn't be able to have. Also brings the economic development agencies to the table, the chambers and other economic development entities, because the university is now able to contribute to innovative solutions to problems in the community and in the region. So I've really found that one of the best strategies for trying to make the case for the research mission is to not do it in isolation, but link it to that bigger integrated mission of the university. And that's where you get a lot of buy-in and collaborative support as you try to ask for additional resources.
And I'm sure that also gives more opportunities for the students to participate in research and other areas and help them grow and develop as well. So,
no, it absolutely does. And I'll just very quickly, comment on that, because I'm really glad you raised it. Especially in a place like Texas State, where we do have such a high population of minority students, we know the value of trying to diversify our STEM workforce, our biomedical workforce, our education workforce. So especially at a place like Texas State, if we have a research mission and we have a population of students who reflect that underrepresented population, we can really do some innovative things with some of our research programs. So you're absolutely right.
With federal reduction in investment in research, what other sources of support are available for researchers? And is your institution adopting these new sources? I know you mentioned innovation with companies and foundations and all of that, but are you finding success in that area? And do you see that as the wave of the future so that we get less dependent upon federal dollars and more and have a balance so that we have more avenues to gain resources?
Right. So I think I would say regarding the federal budget, I don't think we want to give up yet on that advocacy. You're absolutely right. We're seeing cuts in certain federal agencies. We're seeing actual federal agencies eliminated that may have a major role in funding university innovation, the National Endowment for the Arts. Even the NASA education program is really challenged right now to have a budget as we move forward. But we don't want to give up on the advocacy at the federal level, because there are still individuals. I mean, I just spent a week out in D.C. On the Hill talking to the whole Texas delegation, Ted Cruz, John Cornyn, all the other folks who are involved in some important decisions, and saying, you know, we have to think long term. If we cut dollars now, we will pay for that down the road. So I think the federal advocacy remains a high priority, and I hope universities will work together to be effective advocates.
All right, I'm going to go in a slightly different direction now, Dr. Horton. You know, there's always been this tension, imbalance in universities between the importance of the academic side, publishing, scholarly publications, and then there's the pressure on faculty to do research, and they've always been sort of at a disconnect because faculty always feel pulled in one direction or the other, and trying to maintain a balance and keep their interests has been difficult. So can you speak to that as to how it's being resolved today in higher ed, and if that is changing at all to help our faculty be more productive?
It's a great question again, and I think it speaks to somewhat about the traditional structure at universities, the academic hierarchy and so on, which, you know, dates back into the 1300s or whatever, you know, whatever time frame you want to talk about. There's a need for traditional academic structure. The colleges, the departments, the disciplines, those serve a role, I think, especially in the teaching and academic mission. I think that what started to unwind some of the tension, and I've seen this, maybe Texas State's a little bit ahead of the curve on this, is that the agencies that review proposals and fund proposals aren't really recognizing those traditional academic boundaries as much. They're rewarding almost the opposite. When you step outside of your traditional silo and you begin to collaborate and innovate in a more interdisciplinary way. Also, I think what's happening is, and Texas State, I know, is leading this because I looked at this really carefully, is the development of new academic degree programs that step outside the disciplines. So, for example, we have a doctoral program, a PhD program, in material science, engineering, and commercialization. Wow. It's not a traditional engineering PhD. It's not an MBA, but it incorporates all of those things. So our PhD students who get that degree are just a few hours away from their MBA, and they're also really world-class engineering scholars. The material science recognizes the strength we have in terms of our technology, our equipment, and so on. So we've integrated strengths that we have at Texas State to create a degree program that is completely outside the academic hierarchy. It was done before I got here, and I know it took a little bit of diplomacy to get that kind of a degree program in place. But now that we have it, everybody is thrilled because it stands out when we recruit faculty, we recruit students, we put in grant programs. So I don't know if we are as far along as a university system nationwide as we need to be to reduce that tension you talked about. But I do know we have to get there because that traditional organization is just not going to work long term. Real quickly, one other example of where I think that kind of tension is starting to maybe alleviate a little bit here at Texas State, I know, is in the promotion and tenure process. You know, the traditional promotion and tenure processes that only reward publications in your discipline with a certain profile of journals that are recognized, it just doesn't reflect, again, the modern way you do innovative research or scholarship. So we do recognize patents here. We do recognize multi-PI research grants, the kind of things that, you know, aren't traditional, but reflect the way you do sort of modern research. So I hope the tension will start relieving as we move along.
Well, thank you. That was a good way to close out our session, to remind all of us that we're all in this as a team, constantly trying to make the world better. So we thank you today so much for your insights on research in the higher education community, and we wish you the best and much success in your new position, Dr. Horton. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you all so much, and I wish you all the best as well.
Thank you for listening to Innovators, a production of Harris Search Associates. We'll have more insightful conversations with global thought leaders to follow.